We are back. The voice is finally back. A ton has happened in the National Football League over this past entire week. And let's get into the second edition of the NFL Free Agency Fits. And this edition will be with the running backs. And the running backs have had quite a week getting paid, finding new homes, some getting released and going to old homes of our old star running backs. Just a lot's been going on. And let's first get into the fifth best, I guess, fit and addition from this entire week of NFL free agency. And it is with a running back that got cut from his old team and went to the division rivals in Aaron Jones going to the Minnesota Vikings. The Green Bay Packers released Aaron Jones for Josh Jacobs, and Aaron Jones said, "Hey, I'm going to stick around here in the NFC North. I'm going to go to Minnesota." The deal is worth for 1 year and only $7 million. So I think it's a good fit for both sides. I think Aaron Jones gets to stay in the NFC North, gets to make $7 million. It's only a 1 year deal. So if things don't go his way or he thinks there's a better team out there for him next year in the offseason, he can switch gears and go to a new team. And he stays in the NFC North. He gets to rival with the Green Bay Packers, who picked up Josh Jacobs, who I don't have on this list at all. They would probably be sixth. But the reason I don't have him on the list is because they released Aaron Jones, and Aaron Jones was the heart and soul of that team after Aaron Rodgers left. He was a great leader. He was a great running back. He was great down the stretch last year of the season. And I don't think releasing Aaron Jones to go get Josh Jacobs was that big of a jump. I feel like keeping Aaron Jones was a lot better for them. And he goes to a rival in the Minnesota Vikings, who now Aaron Jones can tell him some schemes that they run, can help him out a little bit defensively when they go up against Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. And maybe Josh Jacobs is an overall better back, which is why Matt LaFleur made this decision to go with Josh Jacobs over Aaron Jones. But I personally don't necessarily think it's that big of a leap for the Green Bay Packers. I think the Packers would have been roughly in the same realm with Aaron Jones as they are now with Josh Jacobs. So I think Aaron Jones is great for him. Stays in the division. Minnesota Vikings can learn some information from Aaron Jones on how the Packers like to run things offensively over there. If the fit doesn't feel right with either side, with the Vikings or Aaron Jones, hey, it's only 1 year. It's only $7 million. Can move on. Both sides can move on after the season, after next year. Moving on to the fourth spot, staying in the NFC North, it is with my Chicago Bears. DeAndre Swift leaves the Eagles and goes to the Chicago Bears on a 3 year deal, $15.3 million guaranteed and up to 24.5 in total. I think this is a great option for the Bears. Cheaper than some of the other running backs that we'll get into a little bit later, like a Saquon Barkley, like a Derrick Henry, that they possibly were linked to this free agency. Um, Swift is a great back. He's an underrated back. He was solid on the Detroit Lions, but the Eagles this past season, he was great as well. He's a great pass catcher, great runner. I like the way he runs, his agility, his quickness. I think that's what the Bears need. I think they need a legit running back. I know they have Roshan Johnson. They let go David Montgomery a few years ago, who's now with the Lions. So NFC North just loves switching running backs and running with other running backs in the division. But I do think DeAndre Swift is a great option for the Bears. He's a little bit cheaper. It's only $15.3 million guaranteed, which is kind of what some players are making in a full year. Um, at the running back position, like Christian McCaffrey. So I do think this is a good option for the Bears in increasing that depth at running back, increasing that explosiveness at running back, especially if you go get a Caleb Williams, you have a better running game, you have a better running back. You can also catch passes out of the backfield and make some plays. So I think this is a solid, good quarterback friendly option, especially when you draft a new rookie quarterback. You want to have a great running game, a great running back that the quarterback can lean on. Like for the third option, Joe Burrow was in on Joe Mixon, who now got traded to the Texans. The trade hasn't necessarily been fully released on what the Texans are releasing or giving to the Bengals, but the Texans do sign Joe Mixon for a 3 year deal, $13 million guaranteed, and up to $27 million. So a bigger gap for him. on money that he can make up. Again, I think this is a great option for the Texans. You know, he's a cheaper running back, but Joe Mixon is a solid running back. He was solid for Joe Burrow. They leaned on Joe Mixon at times when it came to being in big playoff games. And Joe Burrow was a rookie quarterback. They leaned on Joe Mixon a lot. CJ Stroud didn't have a really running game with Devin Singletary, Damian Pierce last year. It was kind of the CJ Stroud show. He kind of has to throw for 300 yards for the Texans to be in the game. Now they get a running back, a legit running back who can run the football, catch the football, can lean on the running game a little bit more, take some pressure off of CJ Stroud, who had an unbelievable rookie year, but you don't want your quarterback having to do every single little thing offensively. So now you have this running back, you have Joe Mixon, you can do those sort of things. Bengals kind of in a tight spot here, can't pay everybody, gonna have to let some players go. Mixon was one of those players. I don't know necessarily what they gave up to go get Joe Mixon, but I'm assuming it's probably fifth, sixth round pick, maybe some cash compensation here and there, pick swaps maybe as well. But I do think this is a really solid move for the Houston Texans. They have established quarterback in CJ Stroud. They have established young wide receivers, established tight ends. They just didn't have a legit running back. And now they have a legit running back in Joe Mixon. They already made the playoffs in the first year with D'Amico Ryans in the CJ Stroud era without having a legit running back. Now they do have a running back. And come playoff time, you need to be able to run the football, especially if it's cold out and you're on the road in a playoff game, not necessarily in Houston. So great move for the Texans. Love what they've been doing this entire offseason. And moving into the heavy hitters now, the top two between Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. And number two, the second best free agency fit I have is Saquon Barkley with the Philadelphia Eagles. He got paid the most this offseason, 3-year deal, $26 million guaranteed, but up to $46.75 million that Saquon Barkley can ultimately make up when it comes to the Eagles. And Eagles let go of DeAndre Swift, who I said was already a solid running back, who had number 4 on this list. He can do everything that the Eagles wanted him to do. He was a solid, above average kind of star level talent and player, but Saquon Barkley is arguably top 3 running back in the league, maybe the best running back in the league when healthy. He has that CMC effect that can carry a load, can carry a team. He carried the Giants offense when things weren't going so well in New York, which they never necessarily were going well in New York. Giants paid Daniel Jones. They should not have done that. They should have paid Saquon Barkley. And now Saquon Barkley goes to their division rival in the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, that read option, that tush push with the two of them. Both of them are massive squatters, can just have the ability to just push and just have power with their legs. Great move by the Philadelphia Eagles. I love what do this. It's a lot of money and it's a big investment, but Saquon Barkley, who went to Penn State, knows Pennsylvania well, has some connections to Philadelphia. This is a great move by the Philadelphia Eagles and Saquon Barkley. I don't know if there's any other better option that Saquon Barkley could have ended up in. He's on a Super Bowl contender still, in my opinion, with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I know they let go of Swift, but Barkley is just on another level with his running ability, his pass catching ability. He can carry loads. He's going to be better too in having less touches and being more explosive. This is kind of like the CMC effect, where CMC didn't have as many touches, but he's more explosive with his touches because he wasn't the only weapon offensively. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle was on the 49ers. Now they have A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, solid other weapons around Saquon Barkley, so it's not just on him. Maybe he can also stay healthier too because he's not getting as many touches, not as much stress on his body throughout the entire season. Jalen Hurts' running ability as well is a great threat. So solid move by the Philadelphia Eagles. But the number one position on my free agency fits for running backs is King Henry. Derrick Henry leaving the Tennessee Titans to go to the Baltimore Ravens on a 2-year deal, 2 years, $16 million guaranteed and up to $20 million. I think this is a better contract for the Ravens, and it's not as much guaranteed money. It's only 2 years. The Baltimore Ravens are in a win now situation with Lamar Jackson, and the two of them with that read option is going to be absolutely lethal. Derrick Henry is top 3 running back as well. He was carrying the Tennessee Titans offense like Saquon Barkley, just trying to will his way. Stayed healthy though. He's the healthiest, I guess, running back you can say with the wear and tear that has been put on him when he was with the Tennessee Titans. And Baltimore Ravens didn't have necessarily a legit star running back or legit starter running back. They had Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, um, rotating. They haven't really had a healthy running back. It's kind of just been Lamar Jackson and then the emergence of these wide receivers with this new scheme that the Ravens have going on. And now you're bringing Derrick Henry, who is a legit bell cow running back in the playoffs, cold in Baltimore, cold in Kansas City, can move the chains, can keep the clock running, can keep these star quarterbacks on the sidelines. This was like the biggest missing piece for the Ravens is their running game just disappeared in that AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. It was kind of Lamar Jackson trying to do it all, do everything, and that just it's not going to work out, especially against Mahomes. Um, but Derrick Henry, it's only a 2-year deal as well for the Ravens, so doesn't work out or they can't win in these 2 years because the Baltimore Ravens are in win now mode. They went to the AFC Championship game last year, so Derrick Henry is also getting a little bit older. Maybe that wear and tear starts to show more when he goes to the Ravens. So this is a good year, 2-year deal with the Ravens. This was kind of the biggest, I guess, lock I would say for the running backs that was going to happen was with Derrick Henry going to the Ravens. It just made the most sense for both sides. Derrick Henry doesn't have to run 30 times. He has Lamar Jackson, who can run the football as well. Mark Andrews, who is a great tight end, great pass blocking tight end, great receiving tight end. They have some solid wide receivers as well with Zay Flowers, who they just drafted last year. So solid move for the Ravens. And I do think this is a better move for the Baltimore Ravens than the Philadelphia Eagles because it's only 2 years deal. These running backs can get injured and they cannot be the same anymore. Just ask Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, you name it. Once they get paid, they kind of can possibly go off a cliff. So that extra year for Saquon Barkley and the extra $10 million guaranteed to Saquon Barkley up to $46.75 million, which is a $26 million gap between the amount of money that Derrick Henry can make and Saquon Barkley can make. So there's a lot more investment in Saquon Barkley, but Saquon Barkley is younger. The Philadelphia Eagles are also in a win now situation. So, but both of the teams that were kind of contenders and kind of fell off a little bit were the Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles, and they added 2-star running backs. But I just think Derrick Henry is a better overall fit for the Ravens in what they do. I think Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are going to work super, super well together. That's probably the scariest read option of all time with those two, even over Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, which probably is a top 5 scariest read option as well. Just because those two can just take over games and just ball out and do it. So those are my top 5 free agency fits for the running backs. We'll move on to the last part of it with the wide receivers who have been making some moves as well. Free agency is getting wrapped up here shortly, so I will also bring a full video on the best free agency signings per teams, who had the bet, who was a winner, who was a loser in these sort of situations, and then it's up to the draft. And March Madness Selection Sunday is this Sunday as well. So March is one of the best sports months. Let's march.